it's like not possible to do on a guitar or bass. So an example would be on a guitar or a bass, you can bend a note up. So like you could take a C and bend it into a C sharp or a D, right? But it's not possible to bend a note down. Well, on the Linnstrument, it doesn't have that same kind of limitation, being an electronic instrument. So you can bend down, and I don't want to lose some of the listeners might not be too interested in all these technical details, but let me just put it this way: it's really freaking cool. It's cool. It's great at doing all kinds of things that it's not even possible. And also being a MIDI controller, it means I can play stuff that sounds like I can play a software that sounds like a bass guitar, sounds like a guitar, or sounds like a violin, sounds like a saxophone, sounds like you name the instrument, or even like synthesizers and like made up instruments that aren't, that aren't real. It's like the sky's the limit. There are, literally thousands of different instruments, virtual instruments I can play, software instruments that I can play. I mean, that's something with any MIDI controller has the ability to do that. But most MIDI controllers most MIDI controllers are keyboards, and they're not nearly as expressive as the Linnstrument. So that's what I love about it. It's super expressive, which is great for taking solos. It's super easy to play.
Yeah.
Especially if you already are familiar with that layout of being a bass guitar player or a guitar player. For me, I had been playing at the time when I started playing the Linnstrument. I think I had been playing the guitar for 12 years. And gosh, the bass, probably 25 years or so when I started playing it. And pretty much the first minute I sat down on the Linnstrument, I was better on it than I was on bass or guitar, just like instantly.
Okay.
Because it was so easy to play. So I was like, wow, this is great. And so what ends up happening is, you have this musicians, we get this muse in our head that sings us a song. And then you sit down on your instrument and you try to get your instrument to sing that song that's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a struggle to get that song. You're like, man, it sounds so beautiful in my head, and I'm trying to get it to come out to sound like that. I might not be able to do it or get it close, but because it's so easy to play, I'm much more able to play the songs that my muse sings me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I'm really able to channel what the music coming out of my heart and soul and express it with the Linnstrument, where in ways that I was never able to on a guitar, bass, or certainly not the keyboard.
So I'd like to know how long has it been since you decided you'll be the only recording rap artist to play the Linnstrument doing rap music?
Yeah. So before, I think I started maybe summer of last year. Summer of last year is when I created my Zenlarge persona, as a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
And before that, I was mainly just singing, and I really would enjoy karaoke, either just doing it at home for my own pleasure, or you're out with friends and karaoke's going. And I started doing some rap just for fun, and I noticed that, for one, I really enjoyed it. I loved doing it. I've been a fan of rap my whole life. I just never actually did it. Since I was a little kid in the 80s, I grew up, listening to the Fresh Prince and LL Cool J and the Fat Boys, and all these guys. And then after that, I got a little older, started listening to NWA and Snoop and the like. But I just had never played that style of music. I started off playing rock and then drifted into blues and jazz around college. And then when I was playing guitar, just an acoustic guitar and singing, I would do a lot of folk songs and the like. And I was like, wow, this is really fun. And the other thing I found was I'm like, I'm okay at this. Maybe I'm not the greatest rapper in the world, and I'm certainly getting better every day. But I'm okay at it. We're singing. I mean, I can sing and carry a tune. I can sing in key, which is better than probably half the people out there. But but my voice, I don't have a great singing voice, right? And I'm like, hey, this is actually something that I could probably do something with this, rather than just doing some karaoke or playing for my own enjoyment at home. This is something I can make music, put videos out, and start playing clubs and the like. And I mean, for me, I mean, I love it so much. Music is all about self-expression, and it's if you can share it with others, it's even better, right? And I'm like, this is something I can share because I can do this, right? I can do this better than I can singing, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So that's when Zenlarge was born from that.
Okay. So I had spent that track, It Just Be Like That. How did you come up with the melody and the other artist? What is his name?
He's Jashawn the Don. He's a guy out of South Carolina, so relatively close to me here, another Carolina brother. He, well, I found him in a Facebook group for rap artists, for unsigned rap artists. It was called Cold Poets Society. And there's a lot of great unsigned artists in there. We post our music and help promote each other and the like. And you know, so I was familiar with this stuff from you know, visiting that group on Facebook. And he put out a post to say, hey, is anybody interested in collaborating? And so I contacted him, and we started talking, and it was like, yeah, let's do this. So the melody itself, him or the guy, his producer, came up with that. And it was like the easiest song I've ever done in my life, right? Because all I had to do was write about a minute's worth of lyrics, record the audio, send it to him, and then he did the rest. So that was way easier than like some of the other stuff I've had to do where, you know, later in the show you're going to play Two Worlds, one of my other songs. And that one, I wrote everything in that. And, well, everything but the vocals. I have another rapper that is works with me on that song as well. He wrote his lyrics and I wrote my lyrics, but I wrote all the music and played it all on the Linnstrument. So It Just Be Like That was pretty easy. He wrote it. I just had to come up with the lyrics. He said, you know, this song is going to be called It Just Be Like That, and it's going to be, you know, it's about how things are, you know. And I'm like, well, I asked him, I'm like, is this going to be one of those songs about, you know, how life used to suck and it was a struggle, but now or is it going to be a song about how like life is great right now? And he's like, how about a little of both, you know? Because that kind of matched my journey of growth and development. I know from, you know, hanging out with you on Facebook and your wonderful, the group you had there, the Lady Diva group, that, you know, you're definitely into growth and personal development and these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, this is right up my alley, because that's another thing I'm really passionate about besides music is personal development and growth. And I've, you know, just come so far in my own life, going from being pretty much, you know, miserable to now I just love life, right? So that's kind of where the inspiration for the lyrics were, as I started off saying, you know, how hard it is when you come into this world. You know, you think we all come in and we're completely dependent on those around us. We can't even stand up. We can't even sit up. You know, we're relying on other people for everything else, and it's a struggle. And then there's all kinds of other struggles. You know, a lot of times people don't realize how hard it was when they were a kid. You know, once they get past it, they kind of romanticize what it was like and be like, oh, you know, I remember the good old days. And they don't remember all of those struggles they had and how bad it sucked at times when you're there. And like, you get things like, I don't know, like I see it with like my daughter. You know, she's a teenager, and so her hormones are going crazy right now. You know, and it's not uncommon for her to get upset about something and be so upset like she's crying about it, right? And this happens, you know, pretty regularly for her, right? Like, and I was just like, man, when was the last time I was so upset that I cried? And how bad did that suck? You know, and I started thinking, that's got to be really hard to be going through that regularly. That's really hard, you know. And people, like, when it's behind you, when it's in the rearview mirror, it's easy to forget about that and only look at the fun times, right? And then just try to forget about those other parts. It's kind of human nature for a lot of people. So, you know, when I was writing the lyrics for It Just Be Like That, I was, you know, targeting that struggle when you're a kid,
right?
And you know, all the things you face, and going how tough school can be, and then even as I got out of that, and, you know, graduated from school, got, you know, the University of Toledo, got a job, still was, as a young man, really didn't know anything, you know, still learn, so much to learn. I mean, I still have stuff to learn as a guy now in my 40s, but let alone back then. And so I was like, that's kind of where the lyrics came from, is then going out and getting out in the real world, and it's still kind of a struggle. And then there's at some point you reach the point where you're just like, no more. It's not gonna be like that anymore.
Right.
And then I talk about how just kind of seizing life and choosing your own path rather than having life just given to you, kind of blindly walking through it, and like, you start off like that, right? Your parents tell you what to do, and you just kind of do what other people tell you to do. So at this point, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to choose my own life, and I'm going to choose to have an amazing life. I'm going to choose happiness. I'm going to choose success. And so that's the vocals in the song. I even like changed my style of rapping halfway through it to as I'm going from the first part, the struggle, to the taking charge and deciding that it's not going to be like that anymore.
Right. Well, I really like that track. I really do.
Oh, thanks.
It does give you a memory how life is right now with this pandemic going on. We'll pull through it. It doesn't last forever. We'll pull through it. Sorry for all the persons that lost loved ones, but you will get through it, So, yes, and thank you for that track, and thank you for that information. So, will there be any new future music projects for us all to be looking forward to? When and with whom?
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm working on a song. I'm probably going to release it in the next few weeks here. I'm doing a cover of Diggable Planets' Rebirth of Slick. So I don't know if you're familiar with Diggable Planets, Brenda, but if you're not, they are fantastic. They only put out 2 albums, I think, and not counting like remastered versions and stuff, right? Came out in, I want to say the early 90s maybe, but they have just really tight jazz tracks, and that they put just smooth hip-hop vocals over top of. They're a trio, a lady and 2 gentlemen, and I just really, really enjoy it. So the song is called Rebirth of Slick, and I'm going to put that out. I'm going to do my best to honor what they laid out before me, and kind of pay homage to them, as they were an inspiration of the music I make today as a jazz hop artist, right? I think the subgenre of jazz, the subgenre of hip hop, where they blend together, jazz hop,
right?
And they're one of the all-time greats. So I'm going to put that out, and then I got another one, a original song I'm working on, and I haven't decided on the title to it yet. I might go with Zen Warrior. I'm not sure, but it's basically going to be about not worrying about what other people think, and not letting others, dictate your mood, dictate your happiness, dictate your life. Being like, I choose what my life is going to be. I choose what my attitude is going to be, and I choose to do better than that, right? So, that's a lot of what, like I said, I'm really passionate about personal development, and so that comes across in stuff that I write, and certainly in other areas of my life. And it's the inspiration behind the name I chose, Zenlarge, kind of a play on words of like my Zen is large, right? Or enlarge your Zen, a couple of different ways to look at it. So that's the some of the stuff I've got coming down the pike here is a couple songs. So I've got lots of ideas that after that will be put into new stuff. I was just, while I was out walking today and listening to my playlist, and a couple of rock songs came up, and I don't know how much you've ever listened to Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne's first band.
Very little.
And I was like, man, this is really dope. I could rap over top of this. Like, so here's an example. When we get off, after the show's over, go listen to Hand of Doom. This song called Hand of Doom from Black Sabbath. Listen to the drums in this song. It's like, if you just, if you remove Ozzy's vocals and think like, what would rap sound over top of this? I'm like, you know what? I bet that would be slick. That would be really slick. So I might play around with something like that as well.
Okay,
I'm always looking for something